it's about cold again. We had a couple of good weeks of nice warm weather. I saw many people wearing shorts. I know it's not that time yet, but I guess when we had that 1 week of Arctic blast, snow and ice that usually keeps us snowed in for a couple of days here, but then it's gone into next year. So I want to mention something that happened last week that's been on my mind. And my wife and I went out to dinner to a restaurant that we like. It's one of our favorite restaurants. And in this particular, it's normally pretty quiet. It's normally a quiet environment. There's really laid back, just a nice environment. And that's why I like it so much, because it's always quiet. And it's just not noisy. But this time was totally different. This was a rare occurrence for this restaurant. It was a lot louder than usual. And what made it so funny is that it was only one person. Well, two people were at the table, but it was only one person talking extremely loud. And my wife and I were just puzzled because, I asked my wife, I said, why in the world is she talking so loudly? Because she's sitting right across the table, and it was a small table, so probably 1 foot or 1.5 feet away from the person that she was with. And the restaurant, what I pointed out to my wife in the restaurant was that the furniture there, everything was wood. All the chairs were wood, the tables were wood, there was no carpet, and we were surrounded by windows. So what that does is there's nothing for the sound, there's nothing to absorb the sound. So it bounces around. There's a reflection off of all the wood, so there was nothing to just dampen the sound so much. And so what that did was it amplified their conversation. Even though the lady was talking really loudly, but it amplified her conversation so much and I've never done this before. I've never done this. We had to say something to the waiter. We had to ask the waiter to please ask them to tone it down a bit. It's a private business. They could say something. If it was a public entity, they couldn't say anything to the customers. But it was a private business, so they had a right to. I felt like they had a right to ask them to speak a little bit quieter, because they were disrupting everybody else. I could tell by looking around to the other people that were there eating that they were a little bit irritated, because they kept looking over at them. And just to listen to one person make so much noise was just, like I said, it was a rare situation, but it did happen. And I've been talking to you past couple of weeks about noise pollution, and that's what it is. That's what it was. That noise, the way it was bouncing around, the way it was reflecting off of all the wood in the windows, was really disturbing. It disturbed us. We couldn't hear each other talk. My wife said something, I had to lean in close to listen to what she said. I had to really ask her to repeat it again, which is that's just not good for an outing that you want to have when you want to go out and have a good time. You don't want to constantly have to lean in and ask the person to repeat themselves. And that's what we had to do. And that's what I had to do. And because of the noise, we have to do something about that. I felt like at that point I did something about it by asking the waiter to just politely ask the customers to tone it down. And they did for a moment. I must admit, she did quieten it down, but as their conversation continued, it got louder and louder. So I just assumed that that's just her personality to speak loudly. So I don't think she realized what was happening and how it was causing a disturbance for everyone else. But that noise was an issue.